Hearing is one of the functions of ear. In this video, I am going to tell you what is the contribution of external and middle ear in hearing. Hey everyone, welcome back to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And we are going to start our today's video, that is the part 1 of mechanism of hearing. So first I will introduce you to the sound, because we hear because of, or you can say the sound is produced and then we hear. So what is the definition of the sound, and particularly you can say what is the physics of the sound, and it is important to understand the functioning of the ear. And then we are going to discuss about the external and the middle ear, that what is the function of external and the middle ear in hearing. And in the upcoming videos we are going to deal in depth about the hearing in the inner ear. So we can start with the sound, and there are certain things which comes whenever we search or whenever we read about sound. So it's a mechanical energy, it's a form of energy which is mechanical energy, and we say that sound is a longitudinal wave, and then the compression, the rarefaction, also some of the common terms actually which are being used whenever you talk about the sound. So it becomes very important to discuss physics of the sound in order to understand it completely. So basically, to understand that about the sound, let's take a source. Source is basically which is the thing which is producing the sound, and the receiver which is going to receive or you can say hear the sound. So here is the source and here is the receiver, and we say that there is some distance between the source and the receiver, and the sound has to travel this distance t has to be traveled by a sound, and the medium which is being there between the source and the receiver is, you can say, because for a sake of simplicity, not complexity, we can take the medium as the air. Okay, because most of the time the medium is air only. So the medium is air, and we know that sound actually requires medium to travel, and the medium between the source and the receiver here is the air. So now we say that whenever we talk about that how the sound travels, we say that the sound travels in a form of longitudinal wave. So what I mean by longitudinal wave? So this is, you can say, the left side, and this is the right side. So you can here say that the direction of the motion or the direction of the sound is actually from left to right. Okay, so now how does the sound travels? The sound travels in the form of a longitudinal wave, and you have some particles in the air particles. So these air particles help in the you can say transmission of the sound from the source to the receiver. So how it is happening, that you have this source which is going to vibrate. There is energy transmission from the source to this air particle, and this is going to move this air particle right as well as left. So this is called as a to and fro motion. This is basically the vibration of this particle, and when this particle vibrates that is towards the right, it is going to transmit the energy to the next particle, and then the same thing is going to happen. So this is how the sound is going to be traveled from the source to the receiver. So the longitudinal wave basically means that the direction of the energy transport. So you can say here is a direction of the energy transport, okay, is parallel to the direction of sound. Okay, so the direction of the sound is towards right, and you can say the direction of energy transport is basically towards the right. So that is how the sound is called as a longitudinal wave, because the direction of the energy transport or the direction of the vibration of the particles in the medium is parallel to the direction of the sound. So I hope you are clear with that what I mean by longitudinal wave, and why the sound is called as a longitudinal wave, because it travels in a form of a longitudinal wave. Okay, the another thing which comes is the compression and the rarefaction. So to understand this, let's take another thing. So we have this string. Okay, this string is actually the source of what? Source of sound. Okay, so this string is actually moving towards right as well as moving towards left. So every source which is producing sound, and most of the sources which are producing sound, they are vibrating in order to produce the sound. So this is also vibrating to produce the sound. Okay, so what is and we know that here are air particles. Okay, because again there will be somewhere receiver. So suppose this is the receiver. Now let's take the example when the string is moving ahead, okay, or it is moving towards the right. So in that case, what is going to happen? The air particles which are here, the just near here particles, just near neighbor particles, which are actually very close to the string, the distance between those particles, or you can say these particles, are pushed little ahead. So the distance between the air particles will be get reduced. So if it is earlier like this, now the distance will be get reduced. Okay, because the string is going to push some of the air particles towards right, which is going to reduce the distance between the neighboring air particles, and this is actually increase the pressure between these air particles. Okay, so you can see them like this. Okay, this is just for the sake of the presentation, we present like this. Earlier it was like this, and now because of the string moving right, it is being like this. The distance between the particles is reduced. Now what is going to happen when it is moving backwards or it is moving towards the left? So in that case, the pressure, or you can say the push on the particles, on the neighboring particles, it is being not there, it is being removed. So from this confirmation, they going to back to this confirmation. That is, the distance between this air particles will again increased. This is called as a compression, when the air particles are compressed, and this is called as a rarefaction. Okay, so sound travels in a longitudinal wave, and in a longitudinal wave you are going to see the alternate patterns of compression and the rarefaction. Okay, so with this, I hope that you are clear with this definition, that sound is a perceptual phenomena, that is, you are going to hear the sound by a special sense, that is produced by periodic longitudinal waves of low pressure, that is rarefaction, and the high pressure, that is compression, that propagates through air at a speed of 330 to 340 meter per second. So medium is going to define the speed of the sound propagation. So in the air, the speed is 330 to 340 meter per second. So now we can actually begin the mechanism of hearing, which involves external, middle and the inner ear. So the function of the external ear, not much about the to discuss about the external ear. We know that it contains a pinna and a trachea, and they are going to actually funnel the sound waves into the external auditory canal, which is again a part of external ear, and it is going to be focused on the tympanic membrane. So just to revise that, we have ear which is being divided into the inner, middle and the external ear. So external ear is from the pinna to the tympanic membrane. From the tympanic membrane to the oval window, we have this middle ear, and from inside to this oval window, we are having the inner ear, which has cochlea and the vestibular apparatus. Okay, so apart from this, we have another function of the external ear is the localization of the sound waves. So we can actually move to the middle ear now, which is more important, and you can say which is more commonly asked in the exams. That is why I am saying it is more important. So what is middle ear? It is basically the air-filled chamber. Air-filled chamber, which is very important to concentrate, because air is there in the external ear, air is there in the middle ear, and the water or the fluid is there in the inner ear. So why I am specifying this, you are going to understand this in the upcoming slides. So air-filled chamber between the tympanic membrane on one side and the oval window on the other side, and it has basically the three ossicles. which are the smallest bone in our body, malleus, incus and the stapes. And the function of the middle ear, the first function is the conduction of the vibrations of the tympanic membrane to the oval window. So from the vibrations from the environment via the external ear are collected, then they focus on the tympanic membrane, and from the tympanic membrane these vibrations has to be conducted to the oval window, and then from the oval window it goes to the cochlea. So how it is happening? So here the question came, as I said, middle ear has air, external ear has also air, and the inner ear has the water or the fluid. And we know that the sound is in the form of the pressure waves. So that pressure waves has to move that fluid in order to hear, okay, in order to be get predicted, in order to be get recognized, okay. So that thing, that pressure waves, they must have that much, or they must have sufficient pressure to move the fluid in the inner ear, okay. So for that, the middle ear serves as an impedance matching device, okay. So what is impedance? Impedance is basically the resistance which is being offered by the medium to the wave, okay. So air will also offer some sort of impedance to the pressure waves, and the water is also going to offer the impedance to the pressure waves. So which medium is going to offer more impedance? It will be water, of course. So what is happening when the air is coming from the middle ear or from the external ear to the middle ear to the inner ear? What is happening? That inner ear has the water, so inner ear is going to offer lot of impedance to the pressure wave which is coming from the middle and the external ear. Now in order to induce the pressure waves in the fluid also, the middle ear has to increase the force of those pressure waves in order to bring the movement in the fluid, or in order to have the pressure waves in the fluid in the cochlea, okay. So acoustic impedance is basically the tendency of a medium to oppose the movement brought by a pressure wave. So this acoustic impedance is more because is more in the inner ear because of a water, because of a fluid, and we have to balance that, okay. The impedance has to be balanced out, or you can say for the impedance has to balance out. The impedance is more in the inner ear and the impedance is less in the middle ear. And for that, the middle ear serves as an impedance matching device. So the pressure waves are in the air in the middle ear. Now the pressure waves has to be transmitted in the inner ear. They has to move the fluid in order to recognized as a hearing, and for that they must have more force in their pressure waves. So how does it happens? How does the impedance matching happens in the middle ear? That is one of the function of the middle ear, that is impedance matching, and how it happens. So basically there are two mechanisms to explain that how the impedance matching is done by the middle ear. One of the mechanism is basically the ratio between the surface area, effective surface area of tympanic membrane and effective surface area of the oval window, that is about 17:1. So the surface area of tympanic membrane is about 55 millimeter cubes, and the surface area of oval window is 3.2 millimeters cubes. You can see actually in this diagram that the surface area of the tympanic membrane is more than the surface area of the oval window, okay. So how it happens, how it increases the pressure? So for that we know the pressure has a formula of force by area, okay. Now what is happening, that we have to balance the force on the tympanic membrane by the pressure waves, okay, with the force on the oval window, okay. That is what is called as a impedance matching, okay. We have to increase the force, okay. We have to balance the force on the tympanic membrane with the force on the oval window by the pressure waves. So how it is happening? So the force has formula of what? P into A, okay. So let's consider the pressure on the tympanic membrane PT and the area of the tympanic membrane AT, and the pressure on the oval window as PO, and the pressure on area of the oval window as AO. Now what we has to do, we know that the area of the tympanic membrane is 55 and the area of the oval window is 3.2, okay. So So you can understand by this that the PO by PT, okay, is equal to 55 divided by 3.2, that is equal to 17 times. Okay, that means the pressure on the oval window should be equal to 17 times of the pressure on the tympanic membrane, and that is done by what? That is done by the difference in the area of the tympanic membrane and the area of the oval window. So anatomically they have organized the area of the tympanic membrane and the area of the oval window in such a way that their ratio is about 17:1, and we can have a impedance matching. Okay, we are basically amplifying the pressure, the force of the pressure waves in the inner ear, okay, in order to get to hearing. The second mechanism is an ossicular lever system. So you can see here that the handle of the Mecelus is actually longer than the process of the incus, and they are acting as a one funiculum. This is basically the lever system, and that is how there is further 1.3 times amplification of the pressure on the oval window. So the total amplification will be equal to what? 17. That is being done by the the surface area ratio, the surface difference between the tympanic membrane and oval window, and the 1.3 is because the handle of Mecelus is 1.3 times longer than the process of incus. And if you multiply this, you are going to get the 22 times amplification. So that is how the impedance matching is happening. I am again repeating what is impedance. Impedance is basically the resistance which is being offered by the medium to the pressure waves. And because fluid is offering more resistance to the pressure waves, the middle ear has to increase the pressure or the force of these pressure waves in order to induce the movement by these pressure waves in the fluid inside the inner ear, so that we can hear. Okay, and that is being done by the phenomena called as a impedance matching, which is going to amplify the force on this pressure waves by 22 times. And the mechanism I have already told you. Now we can move to the second function of the middle ear, that is the attenuation reflex. So attenuation means what? Decrease. Okay, so what is happening when we are going to hear a very loud sound and the sound which has a very low frequency? So in that case, because that sound has an amplification, we don't need further amplification, and the further amplification should be avoided in order to protect our inner ear, our sensitive organ of Wittei. So that is being done by this attenuation reflex, and there are two muscles which are involved in this attenuation reflex: the tensor tympani muscle, which is going to hold the handle of Mecelus in the center of tympanic membrane, and the stapedius, which is going to hold the foot plate of stapes on the oval window. Okay, so what is happening whenever there is a high sound or low frequency sound which is being heard? So the latency is only 40 to 80 milliseconds. So when the person hears the sound, within 40 to 80 milliseconds, the attenuation reflex happens, which involves the contraction of the tensor tympani muscle and the contraction of the stapedius muscle. So what happens that when the tensor tympani muscle contracts, it is going to pull the handle of Mecelus away from the tympanic membrane. I think it's better to show you with the help of diagram. This is a diagram. So here you can say that this handle of Mecelus is on the tympanic membrane. So when there is a high frequency sound, low frequency sound, high pitch sound, so in that case within 40 to 80 milliseconds, what is happening, the tensor tympani muscle is going to contract. It is going to pull this handle of Mecelus away from the tympanic membrane, and the stapedius muscle is also going to pull outward the foot plate of the stapes away from the oval window. So 5 is the Mecelus is actually towards inward and the stapes is outwards. Okay, so this is going to bring this ossicles in a rigid position in order to reduce the amplification. So now the Mecelus is going to get the less vibrations from the tympanic membrane, and the stapes is also going to transmit less vibrations into the oval window. That is called as an attenuation reflex, and the function is to protect from the very loud sound, from the self-produced sound like when we produce sounds, and the mask, it is going to mask the low frequency sounds in the loud environments, and it is going to allow the person to concentrate on the high frequency sounds, which are above 1000 cycles per second, and most of the voice communication happens within that frequency only. So these are the functions of the attenuation reflex. So these are the two functions of the middle ear, and that is the contribution of the external and the middle ear in the hearing. So I hope that you get the insight of hearing in this video, and we are going to continue the hearing in the next video also, where we are going to discuss about the inner ear. So to get the notification about the upcoming video, please subscribe our channel. Please comment down your suggestions and your doubts also. And please like, share and subscribe to HM Learnings. Till then, keep learning.